everyone, and welcome to Saturday, June 19th, Quapaw Nation Business Committee meeting. I'll call it to order. And Michelle, if you could lead us in opening prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day, and we come to you, Lord, this morning to ask that you'll help guide our discussions, our decisions, our words, Lord, and that they be pleasing to you, Lord, and also for the purpose of the benefit of the improvement and the betterment of our Quapaw Nation and our people. And we just thank you, Lord, for those that are here, and Lord, we pray that you be with those that aren't here for whatever reason, Lord. We know that we have many in my personal family, Lord, that are grieving, and I just ask that you lift them up and hold them close, and among all the other families, Lord, that are hurting this morning for whatever reason. And we again come to you this morning, Lord, to help us in our discussions and our decisions, and we thank you for this day, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Gay, Michelle. If we could, Donna, could you give us a roll call?
You bet. Okay. Jeremy? Lloyd?
Present.
Callie?
Present.
Joseph?
Present.
Guy is absent, excused, right?
Yes.
Okay. Zach? Michelle?
Present.
Okay. We have
Okay.
a quorum.
We have a quorum. Dropping down to reading correction and approval of minutes and phone polls have been pre-submitted in your packets. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
We have a motion by Zach, a second.
Second.
Second by Michelle. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Next, approval, disapproval of treasurer's report, which has also been submitted in your packets.
So move.
We have a motion by Lloyd. Any second?
I'll second.
Second by Callie. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries and the treasurer's report is approved. Approval, disapproval of directors and subcommittee reports submitted in your packets. And I'll entertain a motion to approve these.
I'll make a motion.
A motion by Michelle and a second. Second by Zach. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries and the reports submitted are approved. Dropping down to directors' reports. First up, we have Community Health Representative Ms. Jasmine Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I have from March till now, I have a total of 13 transports, and that's with Miami and Joplin. Home visits, I have 35. Medicine orders, pickups, and deliveries, I have a total of 23. On March, my health screenings that I had, they were canceled due to COVID at the time. April, health screenings, the fitness center, I had 4. Title VI, I had 32. In May, I had 5 on the fitness center. Title VI, I had 23. And in April, I got with Kyle about the health fair for powwow and decided that the health fair was not safe at the time because the numbers were high. So it was canceled. Hopefully we'll have one next year. So I also joined the Jamboree with the Title VI in June at the first of the month, and the elders enjoyed and had a blast. It was great. It really was. And that's really all I have for right now.
All right, good report. Any questions for Jasmine? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have Downstream Casino Resort, Mr. Stuart Grayson.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Our second quarter for downstream was nothing short of remarkable. Downstream set all-time records in EBITDA, EBITDA margin, and revenue. For the first 3 months ending March 31st, 2021, revenue increased 13% over the second quarter of FY19. This increase was primarily the result of increased gaming revenue, which exceeded 2019 by 26%. To touch on downstream's continued expense reduction, year to date, our labor expenses are down 21% compared to 2019. Non-labor operating costs are down 14%, and operating expenses are down across all categories except for those tied to revenue and insurance premiums. Downstream's EBITDA for the second quarter 2021 was an all-time record. The EBITDA gains experienced during the first quarter of 2021 have carried over and then some to the second quarter. EBITDA expanded 26% quarter over quarter. We don't see that going into the third quarter. We still have a very strong third quarter, but we're not seeing the growth quarter over quarter. It's just year over year. Downstream's cash balance as of March 31 is an increase of about $24 million over March 2019. So we had a very strong second quarter. It was exciting. Third quarter has been just as strong. Honestly, it was a little surprising. Your second quarter should be the best for the year. Third is looking like it could be very close. So pretty excited about what's going on. We had our first invited hosted real event this past weekend. Went over very well. We're starting to kick some of that off and get rolling in some of those areas we haven't been able to as of late. So looking forward, we beat Downstream's best year ever in EBITDA. We beat that at the end of April. So everything for the rest of the year will just be a new record. It's pretty exciting. We've got some pretty good projections where we'll fall. So I think it's exciting and helping us make some transition and some cost reduction for the future of the tribe and the property. So with that, I'll turn over questions.
I saw where we were giving away John Deere mowers last night.
4 every Friday.
For the month.
Yeah.
And that's been well received.
It has been.
Understand.
It's been very exciting. So we've got a few other things coming up, most notably Mr. Paisley on the July 2nd, Friday. So we are gearing up for that. One of the biggest concerts we've done and the first one we've done in a long time. So that poses its own challenges, but everybody's pretty excited about that. So,
What's the word on our gift shop?
Gift shop is open and operational. You can come in there. Due to staffing and things, the hours are not quite what they need to be. We're working on that, but it is functional and ready to go. So come in, buy some tickets.
Right on. Between the concert and my understanding, there's going to be a pretty large gathering for General Council.
Fantastic.
So looking forward to the weekend there.
Fantastic. We are ready. We've been in preparation. Expect all hands on deck there. So we're excited about that.
Fireworks show?
Saturday night at dusk.
Okay.
So we kind of wanted to space it out and do something special every night. So for that weekend.
Excellent. Any questions for Mr. Grayson? Okay. Good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Quapaw Casino, Mr. Kenny Anderson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Not to sound like I'm copying off of Stuart here, but our numbers are kind of mimicking. It's kind of funny when we have discussions, Stuart and I and Ben, but we had a very good second quarter fiscal year for 2021 as well. We are setting new monthly records almost every month this year, just kind of like he said. January, our net income was up 70% compared to last January. February, Our net income was down 20%. That was due to being closed, the power outages and the controlled things like that. But we still made money that month. We were just down a little bit. But bounced back in March. We were up 154%. It almost sounds like we're making up numbers this year. But year to date, our net income is up 172% at Quapaw. So it's exciting times, doing great things there. With that extra money, we've purchased a new surveillance system. Big purchase for us. It was almost $500,000. So, but that's all paid for. We have a complete date set for August for that, so we're really excited about that for our property. We've also purchased 2 generators for our property, not the prettiest things in the world, but we need them for our infrastructure. So we got one to cover the surveillance room, and we also got one to cover our main server room. So good things. We're also looking at adding new benefits packages to our already great plan. And on a final note, we're still needing employees. So if anybody knows anybody, send them our way. For real, we're down about probably almost 20% on our staffing, between 15 and 20%. So kind of at an all-time low number of employees, but still producing, so we're getting through it. But that's what I got. Any questions?
Just a comment. I was on property yesterday, and property looked great, very clean. Everybody that I engaged with was really welcoming and hospitable, and I went there without a badge on, so I'd like to think they were giving the same service and hospitality to everyone, but seemed to be in good spirits there, and it was a good environment from what I saw yesterday.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we had a good crowd yesterday afternoon, so
Yeah.
good to see our numbers there too. So thank you.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Anderson? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Saracen Casino Resort, Mr. Matt Harkness.
Hello, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. So really to follow up on what the managers from the other 2 properties are saying, we've been doing very well. We had a good January. We're kind of right on the budget that we had. February, we had some challenges. But once we got to March, in March, unlike here, the masks started coming off and the mandates were being lifted. And from that moment on, we just saw an incredible increase. And it's been great business. Midweek has been great. Weekends have been over the top. So we've been generating a lot of money, and it's been very good. It's been very good to see. As the gentleman from Quapaw said, there's still employee challenges. We've been able to get some folks on board. We still have challenges there, but we've been the revenue's been fantastic, and we've managed to mitigate any increases in expenses that would harm EBITDA, so EBITDA's been very good as well. We opened the buffet first time about 3 weeks ago, and it's been over the top. We've been measuring the amount of food that we've been selling in tons. It's just been absolutely crazy. We've had as many as 900 people come through in one day, and it's definitely helped boost the numbers in June, I believe. June is typically a pretty slow month in casinos. There's a lot of stuff going on in the weekends that tends to distract people from gaming. But we've been done very, very well with that. Staff seems engaged. When you open a property up, there's a lot of people that come there and they start out and they really don't know what it's like to work shift work and work weekends and work holidays, and then those people, it's really, gaming's not necessarily for them. And we've had some churn with all that, but right now we're in a much better place in terms of turnover. We've seen a lot less. We're still deficient in some areas in terms of getting staff that we'd like to have on board, but we're way better than we were a couple months ago. So that's really all I have. Things have been very, very good. I'll be happy to take any questions.
It's interesting here. We have downstream and we have Quapaw Casino, And, we've been operating for, as a tribe here in this community for over 20 years now. And so it's a little different, the competitive market here. Can you talk to us a little bit about our position in the market of Arkansas in comparison to the other competition there?
Right, and there's people in this room that are probably not familiar with gaming in Arkansas, but there's basically three markets. There's what I call the Northwest Fayetteville market, which is pretty much serviced by casinos like this, casinos in Oklahoma. There's the eastern side, which is where Memphis is. That's the Memphis market. In the Northwest market, there's about 500,000 people. In the Memphis market, there's about 1 million, 2 million, 3. That includes Memphis. And Southland really services that as well as Tunica. And Southland's, up until the bridge closed, was taking most of the business away from Tunica. The other market, and this is all new because the casinos are fairly new to Arkansas, and certainly Saracen's new. The central Arkansas market has about 1 million people, and that's serviced by 2 casinos, Saracen and Oaklawn. Oaklawn's been there longer. They've had a database. They've been doing gaming there, horse racing for 100 years, and gaming for over 10. So that's our main competition, and we're really just battling over the Little Rock market. When we were in January and February you really can't count because we were literally closed for about a week because the whole city had no water. But starting in November, going into December and January, we were splitting that market right down the middle, 50-50. And we got into in March, we saw the same. We started making some inroads on that 50-50 split on that 100 million people. In April, all of a sudden, we started doing 53% versus 47%. So that was a big deal in terms of market share. And we did that again. We just got the numbers a couple days ago for the month of May. The state publishes the numbers based on the taxation, and they show the win for tables, slots, sportsbook, et cetera. And we did, again, 53% versus Oaklawn's 47%. And in terms of dollars, and I thought this was really interesting, when you looked at Oaklawn's win in slots and tables combined for the month of May in 2019. 2019 was prior to the annex opening and prior to COVID hitting. So that's really a good basis point to look at. And I noticed that Stuart used 19 as well, because it's kind of tough to compare to 20. So in 2019, Oaklawn did about 13.5, a little less than 13.5 million in combined gaming revenue. In 2021, a month ago, they did almost the exact same number. It was like $100,000 difference. In the meantime, we did just under 15 million. So when you look at it, that market, that million-person market, it grew by what we did. It grew by 15 million, which tells me that market has a lot more growth opportunity. Because we're not complete yet. As you guys well know, the building is not complete. We don't have the hotel, we don't have the event center. The exterior is not really done, and there's some things that, we're working with the board in order to get it to be more complete. So I think that the numbers that we're doing now have the potential to increase substantially as we continue to develop the market, build the database, and fix and finish the property.
That's pretty awesome. When you think about those statistics and the fact that we weren't there a year and a half ago, and now we're becoming the leader in the state. I think about our, for lack of a better word, our old people who used to go there to Hot Springs. They would caravan from here. They would go to the horse races. Some even more, the prominent ones owned their own horse racing team. Uh-huh. And for a long time, that was a good getaway for some of the families that were here. And to see, all of us now presently receiving some of the benefits of, our own casino there in the state. It's a really amazing feeling, and it's a really awesome time to be Quapaw. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm very proud to be a part of it, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And just a message to, all of our GMs, if you could pass the word along, in the face of COVID, every property has managed to meet the challenges there that an operation faces. And you've been in the trenches, and you've overcome a lot of adversity there. And your people, our employees, have my gratitude for keeping the cart on the rails. So thank you. And if you could pass that word along, we would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good report. Next, we have the O-gah-pah Learning Center, Joetta Smith.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you all?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Bright and early, just like I love. Let's see. You guys have my report, and I believe on my CCDF report, I may have put I may have left April's month on it. It should say May, I think, my date on my report. But anyway, as far as the Learning Center goes, we have about 87 children in attendance. We are short probably 5 or 6 staff members that we still could afford to, that we really need. That way we can boost our attendance easily. I mean, we have easily over 50 children on our waiting list, easily. And we get calls every day. Multiple calls, just needing childcare services. So just as soon as we get that extra staff hired, then we'll be busting at the seams, just like we were at the other center. So on May 17th, we had Kyle Arnell give us a presentation over first aid. So he came in and did that and for our staff, and we were grateful for that. And he just did a really good presentation and showed our girls some things that it made them feel more comfortable with being with the children. We have a lot of new staff, so especially our PM staff. I mean, our day staff is, I have one that's 11 years. I have several that have been there for 3 years, so they're good. But our PM staff's all pretty much green, and they need all the training they can get right now. So, and I do like to have trainings in person, but with COVID, we've been doing an awful lot of online training. So it's not as, I just like to be present, with the training like that. So hopefully we're going to get to start having more trainings, if anything, just within our own facility. Because normally we collaborate with all the other CCDF programs and throw really big trainings. But due to COVID, we haven't been doing that, of course. We are the new center's doing pretty good as far as like TS3. He still hasn't completed. We have but for the most part, he's done. I mean, he just still has like the intercom system. When you go from the outside, you push a doorbell, and it will show a picture of the person out there, and then you can just let them in from any classroom. That way, if us in the office are in a classroom or just outdoors or just not present, then a teacher can acknowledge that person. You can see their ID, but so far that's not up and running yet. It is in our offices, but the main thing is for it to be in the classrooms. That way, when we're out of the office, because it really helps for that reason alone. So, let's see. Other than that, we have about 22 employees at the Learning Center right now. We have hired Sarah Chandler as the new assistant director of the Learning Center. We will miss Kimmy. She was, for those of you who knew her, she was a really great employee. She did a lot of good for our center, so she will definitely be missed. So otherwise, let's see. July 2nd, we're set to have a kids block party at the church over here across the road like we normally do, and it's going to be outdoors. But because of the rising numbers of COVID, we're kind of still questioning whether we should cancel or not. It's outdoors, but still, yet we're still putting that safety, I'm kind of like, if the numbers keep rising, I don't really feel like we should have it. So it's kind of still on the table whether we're going to have it or not.
Sound like you've been talking to Tink.
Yeah, no more
That was a conversation we had yesterday, actually. That's
Yeah.
why I said that.
Oh, yeah. More Randy than Tink, but yeah.
Well, the thing is now we're getting into the variant that's coming around, and from my understanding, it impacts youth more heavily.
Right.
So that's definitely something that we want to consider going into July 2nd.
Yeah.
If we do carry that out, what time during the day are we looking at?
We will have our block party from 9 to 3, and we always serve hot dogs and a meal at lunchtime. So, and we just kind of keep it open for, we just keep cooking hot dogs until nobody wants another hot dog. So we usually have more than enough hot dogs, but it's 9 to 3, and we usually set up our arts and crafts and things like that, and then we have water slides and dunk tanks and a couple of other rides and things for the kids. I always remember at all the powwows, seemed like there was always something somebody was setting up down here for during the powwows, so our kids aren't so bored during the daytime, especially now since we can't play in the creek, because that was like my favorite thing to do, so during the daytime. So, and that's one of my big memories during the powwow during the daytimes was something to do, and it seems like we always had, so somebody was always setting up something during the powwow for the kids, and that was always nice, especially a place where they could cool off or whatever. So, plus keep them out of trouble. So that's
Right.
always good too. But I'll be putting out further notices and stuff whether we're going to cancel the block party or not. So on July 3rd, we're going to have the new OLC open house from 10 to 12, and everybody's invited, and I'm working on getting the invitation sent out. I know it's a little short notice, but it was kind of iffy whether we were going to do it or not as well. We will be having our staff wear their mask during the open house just because I want them to show up on work on Tuesday. So, but anybody's invited from 10 to 12. We'll have some refreshments and snacks and stuff. So we're really excited about that because we're really proud of our center. It's very beautiful. It turned out it's great, and our kids love it, and our staff love it because there's so much extra space, and we're not so crowded. So it's been a really great thing. It's been a tough transition from one building to the other, but we're making it through. Now we just need that extra staff that way our other staff aren't working double time. But we have a really great staff, so they're really in there when I need them to work extra hours. They're always there. So we have really good staff. And next year in 2022, we will have our 20-year anniversary of the OLC. So we opened in 2002. So I'll be excited. Next year we'll have a big bang and blowout and party. So
That'll be awesome because it'll correlate with the 150th.
Oh yeah,
That's going to be good.
That will be good. So I'm really excited for that. Let's see. Other than that, I think that covers everything that I have on my report. We're still getting extra COVID money from a couple of the tribes that we subsidize with. They're sending us $1,000 extra a month just for when they send us our claim form checks. And so that really, puts extra money into allowing us to get COVID stuff, and we put that towards that. So that's always used. It's a good use for that. So I don't think I have anything else. Anybody have any questions?
Just a comment on the July 3rd open house. You said 10 to 12? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm glad we're able to do that since we were unable to gather at the real opening and have
Right.
a ribbon cutting. We may have to bring a ribbon with us and
Okay.
do it upright.
Okay.
So looking forward to that. And then my next question is, we're talking about a new building. What are we doing with the old building?
I know we talked about doing overflow with it, but there was also ideas of using it for office space for the admin and stuff. So I've always looked at it as a resource center or possibly overflow because, like I said, we have over 50 kids on our waiting list. I have, with the new money that I have also that we have gotten for CCDF, it has construction and renovation allowances in it. And so that building could be easily renovated or whatever. If offices go in, everybody has to be adjudicated, I do believe, because the playground is still connected to every one of the doors that are in the classroom. So either the doors would have to be sealed off or, whatever, but that does go into our playground. So there's certain rules guidelines you have to follow if it does become office space. But I've always, it would be a good training area for our teachers. It would be a good, like I said, overflow for all these extra kids that still want to come to our center. So
After we get past general counsel, let's circle back and get a plan together
okay,
for the building.
okay, sounds great. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you. Good report.
thank you.
Next up, we have our grants department, Mr. Brian Ross.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Like Joita said, we've had a little turnover ourselves and staff. Kim Messer accepted a job in Springfield since we last reported. So I'm now the grants manager, and we also just replaced my old position with Michael Allen, got a new grant writer. So we're basically back to full staff and able to manage a little more now. We also have some in-person training coming up, so that'll be nice to be able to get both of our new staff members in the last year to get to training. Numbers-wise, not quite as good as the casinos, but I feel pretty good about what we've done too. Had about, I think, 4 applications approved since March. The big one, of course, is the $2.3 million housing project for 20 rental units. We've submitted a little over 10 applications, totaling almost $2 million, and we're working on at least 5 applications now that should be close to $2 million. We've got a lot coming up for like the farmers market and some of the stuff that Michelle's working on, and broadband might be a big one. There's a lot of new funding for that, so hopefully we'll be able to work with that, and ICDBG. So have some big ones coming up there, and then we've got at least 4 applications still pending. No denials that I'm aware of in the past few months, so pretty much all positive, just kind of waiting on the federal government to do their thing. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Brian? All right, good report. Keep up the good work. Next up, Quapaw Nation Higher Education, Ms. Krista Pierce.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Krista
Morning.
Pierce, Director of the Quapaw Nation Higher Education Department. Right now, we're in the middle of summer funding. We're about halfway through, and so far, we've had $38,850 dispersed to 52 students. So we've got about 6 weeks left. So if things keep up at the pace that we are, we should be looking at 90 to 100 students for summer, which is really good. On July 1st, our fall application will come out for higher education funding, and it will run through September 30th. That will be available online. You can email me or call me. I can email it to you. It's also available in the foyer here at the admin building and in the higher ed office. Summer will end July 31st, of course. Now, our concurrent funding for high school students, we don't do a summer session, so fall will be open beginning August 1st and run through October 15th. I spread it out a little bit more because colleges that work with concurrent students, they take more time in getting their statements out to students than they do their main college students. So that gives moms and dads a little more time to get that information together and wait for the colleges to give them their bills. Been working with Patty Rice and Blakely McCandless Patty Billings. Sorry, I even had a cup of coffee this morning. But I've been working with them on the STEAM Fair. We'll have another meeting at the end of this month on June 30th. I think it's going well. They've sort of taken over the reins of that for me, which I'm very appreciative. Waiting on some feedback on where we're going with the Quapaw Youth Leadership thing. We're working on the application for that, hopefully, and I'm hoping maybe we can have that out here before long. Anything else going on? Higher Ed will have a table at General Council this year, and so I'll have all the applications for summer and fall out, all the different essays that they can choose to write with their applications, as well as ACT, SAT funding applications. We'll have those available too. Those will run on the fiscal year. So the new applications for that start on October 1st and run through September 30th. So that's pretty much what we've got going on. I'm working on some research regarding funding amounts for students. It's amazing in my research just how much it is just to get your four-year degree now. So I've been working on some numbers and researching reports and actually individual researches for all the universities and colleges in the area. So hopefully I'll have something soon on that to bring to the VC. So are there any questions?
Can you talk to us a little bit about the June 2nd meeting with Quapaw Public Schools?
Yes, they received ARP funds, and they were looking for some ideas on ways to spend it. They did also express their gratitude to the Quapaw Nation for everything that we do for them. And one of the things I suggested was tutoring, because that's something that our students need. I also volunteered, whatever they need from us as far as the higher ed department be willing to do. We are pending hiring of the QNHE coordinator. We'll be taking basically sort of a jobs career skills program over there. I don't know, it'll be once a week, once a month, it'll depend on, and it'll be for the seniors. So, and we have plenty of, tribal members there, Quapaw High School. They are actually, I would say, going back at looking to the basics for the school overall and the fundamentals, clear down to kindergarten. So some of the discussion was about what they can do to strengthen reading and math skills. Because clearly that's an issue. Interestingly enough, though, one of the things they said is that when it comes to reading and math, the Native American students at Quapaw always usually perform higher than any other subsect of students overall. So that's a good thing. But there's obviously a lot of work that needs to be done. So they are working there was really a sense of teamwork there, I think. A lot of times when you get into education, okay, you have elementary, you have middle school, you have high school. And a lot of times that communication gets lost. And I really felt there was a sense of communication and in trying to continue through starting as young as kindergarten so that when they get to high school, we're not having issues with being able to graduate or flunking classes or things like that. So I think they're on the right path. And I know that, like I said, anything they need from us or any ways we can sit in and help provide information and input, we're going to do that, and they are very open to that.
We would appreciate it if you just kept us informed of the status, if they're thinking of rolling out any programs or investing. There's definitely funds that we received which encouraged educational opportunities, whether it was mentorship or tutoring, etc. So we're definitely open to any recommendations or considerations that they may have in order to help the youth and help the students.
Okay, great. I know I'll be hopefully here in August getting with Mr. Carriger again and talking about revamping or actually rebooting the internship program now that, we're sort of working our way out of COVID. And so I'm hoping to have a discussion with him, and I will definitely pass that along, and hopefully we can have some partnerships in that in the next year. Any other questions?
I do appreciate you researching and looking into the growing and inflating cost of tuition, and it's no surprise tuition isn't getting any cheaper, obviously, and we as the Quapaw Nation need to reflect that as well and be current on the funding that we're able to provide to our students as well. So.
Well, and even NEO used to be that what we pay per credit hour would take care of NEO. Now they're up to $163 plus a credit hour.
Yeah.
And that's not including all those lovely fees. So, and average just for like your 2-year university is like $282 a credit hour nationally. And it's even more than that when you go to a university. And that depends on, if you're private, state, or a research university, the more prominent you are in that chain, the more the tuition is. So it's not the same everywhere.
Sure.
So, and even when you get up to the graduate levels, it's more. So, and I'm also researching not just the tribes up here, but several of the tribes in Oklahoma, including the Big Five. I'm putting together pretty much a table of what they offer and comparing that to the national average and what we do, and hopefully I'll have some recommendations here within the next month or so.
All right. Good report. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Pierce? Okay, thank you. Next up, Quapaw Nation Gaming Agency, Ms. Barbara Collier.
Morning.
Good morning.
Well, as always, we're very, very busy, continuing on with some of our hearings, and we have 2 scheduled for next week. One employee, for an ex-employee, and another for our cases that continue on. We've had several things that have set us back a little bit, but they're for good reason, and going on to what the Doug Dry has continuing on with, and we don't want to do anything to stop movement on those issues that he's working with. So we're holding back on a couple of our revocation hearings due to that reason. The licensing department is very busy. We are looking for another employee there. We're 3 employees still down, just like everyone else. It's hard to find anyone that wants to work these days, I guess. We thought we had someone for that position to pick up licensing, which is continuing on because both casinos are, of course, trying to hire people. Currently, the employees, like Mr. Anderson said, are down at Quapaw Casino. There's 101 employees. And at most times during the busy seasons, there was 150 around there. There's 32 Native Americans and 12 Quapaw members. At Downstream, they're picking up a few from last month. There's 802 employees and 106 Native Americans and 44 Quapaw members. The vendor licensing is continuing for May, picking up a little bit as it does because it restarts every January. There's currently 390 licensed registered vendors, just one construction, one consultant, 35 entertainment, 41 exempt, 15 gaming employees, vendor employees, plus their employees, 40 gaming related, and 257 non-gaming. And of course, still no tour buses. I look for that probably to start soon if COVID doesn't get any worse. We are in the compliance department. We're kind of up against a couple of issues. They're trying to bring 150 machines from Arkansas, from Saracen, into Oklahoma, and they're totally different gaming statutes.
Johnson Act.
Well, that plus a lot of other things. The games aren't set up the same. They're not ruled the same. They don't have the same approval. They don't have the same software, a lot of them. And even if they do have the same software, we have to make sure that it's approved in Oklahoma for gaming. Those games are in Arkansas or regular like Vegas slot machines. And of course, our electric gaming machines are not set up that way in Oklahoma necessarily. So even the Class 3 games are a little bit different. So we're having to spend a lot of time trying to get those, see if they're approvable, even approvable at all. And of course, they're wanting them, I guess, removed from Saracen right away. But we're not trying to drag our feet. We're just wanting to be sure that we can even accept them. So we considered, the compliance director and myself, or supervisor and myself, have considered going to Saracen and looking at the machines and maybe him testing some of the software to see if it's acceptable. But we're waiting right now on legal to give us a response about whether they're, whether it would even be available to us to have to do that. So that's one issue.
Probably going to take a conversation between us as well. I know that the configurations are a little different in Arkansas, and the ability to change those configurations is also there too. And we're aware that we are going to have to do some tweaking once we bring them back into our jurisdiction. But that's going to have to be a conversation later for us, for all of us to get together and move forward.
That's good news on my part, anyway. Good to hear, because it has been very troublesome to try and figure it all out. You get the lab letters from one company and you get something from another, and they're all different, and they all have different. Some of them have different laboratories that they utilize, so it's just hard to get it all under one umbrella at this time. We do want to thank you for approving the expense for our new server system. However, nothing is ever without glitches, and we sort of crashed and burned during the install, but everything's back up now and going well, and we're getting, improved computerization and things like that from the new servers, and we appreciate it greatly. Everybody's working along real well. Will, our IT guy, has worked really hard to get everything set up and worked with the Quapaw Nation, which is where we got the system, to try and get things going properly and all set up. So, like I said, we still need a compliance agent. We have a position open there. There's been some changes which we'll probably discuss at a different time too, at the downstream casino for daily activities. They've kind of stopped doing activities on second and third shift. And of course, we have to have people on second and third shift in case there are things that they have to do. where we have to be present. And so that's making us short on day shift. There's just not enough people to go around to do all the activities that they have scheduled on day shift. So we're going to have to look into either hiring some more agents for day shift or, trying to get things situated, sort of. The audit and investigation departments are continuing. Like I said, we have a couple of hearings this week. The auditors have been working on schedule for both casinos. So far, I'm glad to say there are no findings at either place. There are a couple of notations for things that, might be tweaked a little bit, but no findings as far as the mix and ticks regulations that are given to them. We also, I don't have it in my report, but we also had our first audit from the state of Oklahoma this last week, and that's been for 2 years. They tried to come in and do some financial auditing, which they're not allowed to do, about 8 months ago, but they came this last week, and we had no findings. We got the reports. I think I sent them to you, emailed them you a copy, and we were very glad that we had no findings in licensing or compliance. Everything in both casinos was great, and they kind of bragged to us in person about how well that they'd like to come to Downstream in Quapaw because we have everything in order and everything's usually going fine, and they appreciate the friendliness and the camaraderie that we present to them, because I guess they don't get that everywhere they go. So we were glad to hear that. I guess that's about all. Well, one other thing, I looked into the report from the National Indian Gaming Commission on the documentation that was submitted to them several months ago, and there is nothing, they will not give us any information at all. They said that they don't give out any information until the investigation is complete, and they're asking, as you know, for more documentation, and so we will, that's in the works, and we will be submitting that as soon as possible or before the deadline. Unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Barbara? No, we have a meeting on Monday that I'd like to, touch on a few of those issues that you brought up, specifically with NIGC, but we can talk about that on Monday and where we're at with the request. It's a lot of information they've asked for, so.
Again, yes, it is.
Yeah, our people have been working pretty diligently to gather that and collect all the requests to make sure we give them what they ask for. So, and I mean, and I know when it comes to the federal government, a lot of the information is very one-directional. So.
This time especially, yeah, I asked specifically, sorry about that, Marcel and Ober, who's the acting director, also district, what is the holdup and what is the process that you're going through, and got no information whatsoever. Well, they just do what they do until it's over. They don't have any reports or anything to update.
Okay.
I asked if they were looking for anything specifically, and got no response, so.
Okay. And I know they were there May 20th, too?
Yes.
Paid a visit?
Well, no, we did it Zoom.
Okay.
We did it on Zoom, yeah. Or, well, not even Zoom, we did it on the phone.
Okay.
And they came back with a good report on all the mix and ticks and things that have been done, that are required to be done, I guess you should say.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't have any further questions. Good report. Thank you. All right, next up we have our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Eric Boone.
Good morning. for May, we had $2 million in revenue in the general fund, bringing our total for the year to $18.3 million. Actual expenses for May were $1.6 million, bringing our total for the year to $15 million. Our tribal member health benefit, May had $445,000 in expenses, bringing our total for the year to $3.5 million. Our social services, May expenses were $137,000, bringing our total for the year to $1.5 million. And Krista mentioned her education expenses for the summer semester. Our total expenses for our education so far this year is $480,000. And of course, the fall semester is usually our biggest, so that will probably almost double by the time September gets here. The other big thing are the relief payments at this time. So we've been processing for 2 weeks. We've processed 2,750 checks so far. That's printed and mailed. And we have an additional 150 checks in the system ready to print on Monday. We have, I don't know how many, but a large stack of applications still to get into the system and get those checks out. I promise you we are getting them out as quickly as possible. We've been receiving phone calls lately with status questions and stuff like that. We're asking you to give us 30 days to process these things, but I promise we are processing them quicker than 30 days. We're just asking for some respect there because every time you call, it's somebody in that process that has to answer your question, and that takes away from actually processing. So again, just bear with us. We're getting them out as quickly as we can. Give us ample time to get them processed and mailed to you. And then the last thing, tribal enterprises, QSA, Quapaw Cattle, Quapaw Food Services, those entities for the year have contributed $2.8 million to our general fund. Do we have any questions? Good. I guess everybody here got their checks then. So
raise your hand if you got your check yet. Okay. Some people are a little more secretive than others. That's all right. Don't want to get hit up. I get it. No, Eric, I just want to make a comment and commend you and your staff for expediting that process since this is our third disbursement now, right? Yeah, third disbursement of these funds. You continue to increase the efficiency and the turnaround time between submittal of the applicants to actually getting it in their hands in their mailboxes. So just want to commend you and the staff here for really being ahead of the curve for that. And to me, it's anybody that's ever worked in food and beverage, you know, as when your hostess says, oh, it's going to be a 20-minute wait for your table. Realistically, it's more like a 10-minute wait. I'm speaking in general terms, but it's more of a hospitality thing, like folks that don't have to wait as long, i.e. 30 days, and they get it within 10, 12 days, something like that, maybe even less. It's a good feeling whenever you get that and you don't have to wait that long. I don't know of anybody that's having to wait the full 30 days. I don't think that's happening. So I want to commend you. Thank you. Good report. Next up, we have subcommittee reports. First, our Constitution Committee, Mr. Roman Cahiga.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning. We can hear you, sir.
Excellent. First of all, sorry about the video. I'm not at the computer where I'm logged in. I'm walking around the house. I have my son I'm taking care of this morning at the same time. And speaking of, Chairman, happy early Father's Day.
You as well. Thank you.
So the Constitution Committee we're meeting once a week right now. We've received all of the responses, or not all of, they're continuing to come in. Responses from the first survey that we sent out. And about that survey, I wanted to personally apologize to anybody who was expecting a deeper, I guess, path of anonymity within all this. Whenever we sent out the mailers for the Constitution, we sent it with the promise of being anonymous in the responses. And there was a oversight with the vendor who does our mailing, and they sent it out with names and addresses printed on the back side of those surveys. What I've worked out with Steva in the office is that there's only one person who receives those mailers, and they scan those into a PDF document for us. And so we don't see who's doing what replies. There's only one person who has any type of access that can link one person to the other person, and that person doesn't have access to roll numbers or anything else. So that's the best we could do. That's the best we could do with the snafu that we had, and that falls on me. I should have gotten a sample of what that mailer is going to look like before we sent it out. So for me, I'm sorry. Now, moving beyond that, we are going to have another mailer being sent out. Currently, the committee is putting together, or actually we're inputting all of the surveys that we received from everybody, and we're sitting right around 450 responses, which is fantastic. I didn't think that we would get half of that. And so people are interested, people want to participate, and I think that number reiterates that. So what we're doing right now, we're inputting all of those responses into SurveyMonkey. Yes.
You mentioned there were 450 responses off the survey?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that's through the digital link as well as mail-ins.
So that tracks roughly 50% of the voting population?
Yes.
Okay.
And we sent it out to, even if they we didn't just send it to registered voters, we sent it to Quapaw members 18 and older.
Okay,
So
right, but voter turnout is running right under 900. I think registered voters we have right around 1,200. So voter turnout's 9. If we're getting 450, that's about 50%. I would say for a survey like this, for the first sweep, that's really good. That's really positive. Sorry,
yes,
continue.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you for highlighting those numbers. I think they're more impressive than they sound. So what we're doing right now is each of us, it's all hands on deck on the committee, and we're inputting the responses that we received from everybody into SurveyMonkey so that we could track those and have better numbers available to everybody as far as percentages and everything. Some of the trends that we're seeing right now is, the overwhelming trends, and by overwhelming, I mean over 75% of the responses, is that folks don't know what changes have been made to our governing resolution. Some didn't even know that we never had a constitution, or actually 75% didn't know that we didn't have a constitution. Folks didn't know, people want a system of checks and balances. That is very overwhelming. And, people don't know what Robert's Rules of Order are. It's for a system that is what guides our general counsel. For that many people to not know how it's supposed to operate is it's a little disheartening, and it says that it definitely needs some attention. But those are just a few of the things that we've heard from that survey, and that survey was sent out intentionally very vanilla to give us a little more flavor and direction on this next survey, which everybody could expect to be refined and detailed with a lot of the information that we received. So it's going to be more in depth. I would anticipate 3, maybe 4 pages of more specific information. And we're also going to have a discussion available for everybody after General Counsel. We'll have a breakout session. So if people want to show up and create some dialogue, we would be happy to hear what everybody has to say. We'll also have a table at General Council. So for those who want to do a digital survey immediately, we'll try to have some software there for us to, or some hardware there for us to help get those surveys completed. If you want to do yours in person, we'll also have surveys in everybody's packet. So that'll be a part of just the standard of what people receive. And then after General Council, we'll send out another mail out for those who couldn't make it to General Council. So that's where we're at right now. This is going to be a lengthy process. I anticipate having a draft at next year's General Council for people to look at. We'll have maybe another survey in between there. We're going to have a couple more sessions for community engagement in between that time. So we're not going straight from one General Council to another without participation. We're going to have additional opportunities for participation from folks in the spring as well as in the winter to help guide us along. This is their document. You know, this is our future, and we want as much participation as possible. So that's where we're at with our activity. I sent a letter to the business committee about a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago, requesting that the Constitution Committee be allowed a monthly stipend equivalent to whatever the committee's other subcommittees are receiving now. And we have demonstrated that we're willing to show up, we're willing to do the work, and we're going to continue to show up. And we're meeting more than once a month this month, and next month we'll probably do the same. And that's going to be our status quo. I don't know what I need to do as far as getting that approved.
Just a comment first, Roman. We definitely need to get together this week to iron out your setup for General Council, the table, more specifically the software and the technology that you plan on utilizing for our citizens to participate in this process, just so we have a good understanding and have ample time to prepare, because there's nothing like springing a technology issue on our IT staff at the last minute. Am I right, Mikhail?
Yes, please.
Okay. So yeah, let's get together this week in conference and let us know what you're thinking, and so we can make those preparations ahead of time.
Okay, perfect.
And then in line with your letter that we received this week over compensation to be serving on this committee, I would say most of our subcommittees receive some type of compensation. It really depends. I think the lower end is right at 100 for some, and then more on the top end is like 400, I believe. At least the election committee, I think, is there is a cap. There's a maximum there, and it does vary depending on what the responsibilities of that specific committee are. Considering this is a very monumental task that you're taking on, the committee is taking on, the fact that we're in uncharted waters, and we're really pushing the envelope to reconstitute our government and gain all of the information collected from our citizens. I think as a good starting point, and we can definitely open it up for discussion today, but I'd like to put something forward in a motion from the business committee, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw a number out there, $200 per month for those committee members. I think would encourage participation and there's a lot of time and energy that's going to be involved moving forward with putting us where we need to be. So again, we can open it up for discussion. I'll entertain a motion, then we can go into discussion, however we need to do that, but I'm comfortable with recommending that amount.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that we discuss this in closed session because the request extends more beyond a monthly stipend, rather a meeting stipend.
Yeah, that's why I said monthly just now. Because at that point, it kind of gives the committee free rein to just like, well, let's meet tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So trying to weigh that and find the happy medium. I can understand your recommendation as well. And yeah, we can go into closed session today. Roman, would you be okay with that?
Yes, absolutely. Just a point of clarity. I'm sorry for that. If it says monthly, or if it says by meeting, it is definitely meant to be a monthly stipend.
Okay. Well, in that case, if we are correcting it to monthly, would you be okay with not doing closed session, or was there some other consideration?
Chairman, I think because of the expanded request at the bottom of that letter, we need to discuss it in closed session.
Okay. All right. Roman, we'll go into closed session later in the agenda, and we'll reach out to you then.
Okay.
Okay. Aside from that, I mentioned that we're kind of in uncharted waters here with your mailer going out. There's some lessons learned. I don't feel, based off of the information you've provided us, that any confidentiality was broken on your part or on the committee's part. But we'll do the best. Like you said, we'll do the best we can with what we have and lessons learned. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Good report. Next up, we have the Elders Committee, Miss Grace Goodeagle.
Away.
Away.
Away. The Elders Committee was formed some years ago because at that time the elders were making trips and we were having dinners and that kind of thing. But needless to say, over this last year and a half, because of the pandemic, we have not been able to travel. Some of our activities have been curtailed for now, so that for the rest of this year, 2021, there may be the possibility of an overnight trip. We're looking into that. Nevertheless, because of this new variant, nobody may be safe to do much of anything. So even 2022. Nevertheless, that's what we are about. In addition to that, the Elders Committee has been meeting monthly. This has been a year and a half now since this pandemic thing came along. Nevertheless, we have been meeting monthly. We usually meet the Thursday before the VC meeting. At those meetings, we have had speakers, and our last meeting, we had Kyle speak to us, and I was glad he spoke to the children. He spoke to the elders at our last meeting about the dangers of heat. And so he was encouraging us and giving us information on how to be cool. So we're working on that. It was wonderful but we do have other things that we have been discussing. And one of the things that we have been discussing for the last couple of months is the thought of
we've been concerned because people are saying they don't know the Quapaw ways for whatever reason. So we have started the effort of getting information together about our Quapaw ways. And we started out with looking at old powwow books because there were stories in there. And thanks to Donna, she came across some in the vault and passed them on to us. In addition, I've had a brief visit with Michelle. She's very interested in getting information on funerals. We have had a number of funerals, but there have been some questions when people have said, well, what do we do? So we're trying to get information together so that we will all have that. Along with that, what we were proposing at our last meeting was the thought of having cards available that would be available for everyone, but you would have your family name on the card, and we want to have as many families represented as we can. Then there would be a space for your name and then a contact number, how we can be in touch with you. The card itself would tell your story or your family's story as you've heard it, as you've learned it. And we will get all of this information together as much as we can. This is something we would like to do. So with General Council coming up, we've got election, there's just all kinds of things happening. But the thing of it is that we've also been discussing, and it's a difficult topic or something to say, but there have been times when there have been some people who have been disrespectful of the elders. And this is not a light topic. And along with that, things that we realize of our history, of who we are descendants of those folks who have gone on generations before. We don't want to lose those ways. They made a lot of sacrifices for us to be here now. So now, for us here now, we have to think future. Where are we going? And part of that is, who are we? We don't have purebloods anymore, and we're aware of that. That I'm Quapaw and I'm Potawatomi. So there are many who have mixed blood, which is fine. We love all of you. But as much as possible, we are wanting to get, again, the Quapaw ways and be a source for that, which would be helpful to our people. Other ways we can tell our story, we are still working on the A&A project, where they have contacted tribes in the area, including the Quapaw, to tell their story, and they're putting together brief videos, which they will be showing in September. The Modocs were the first ones out of the gate, so they did their video and it's showing. We're still working on ours, but we will have something to show as well. As I mentioned at our last meeting, we had Kyle speak to us on how to be cool. Our July meeting will be someone from the Quapaw Tribal Court to tell us about the court. In fact, we were even thinking about taking a tour. We realized there is some action coming up in August. But nevertheless, we are wanting to hear from the different committees so that we can work with the various committees and pull these things together. So that pretty much is an update about where we are with the other committee members. There are some here. Again, we would like to put out cards so people can use those cards and get them back to us we would like to have cards available, like at General Council or around. We'll collect those, and it would be very helpful. And this will be an ongoing thing. Certainly, we won't get all the answers, but we'll get a lot of answers. And in addition to stories about how we do things, if you want to even include sayings, what do you remember your folks telling you? So, opportunity time, we have powwow coming up, and one thing that we were reminiscing about was how we used to visit. Powwow time. I mean, you'd go around to all of the camps and you'd visit. You'd have your coffee or something to eat or whatever. And this is, we have gotten away from sitting around talking on the porch and just sharing information. So, powwow time. So, when we get out there, you know, let's go visit and talk to the different ones. That's how we can keep together as family. So, that's all I have.
Any questions for Gracie? Thank you for that report. Gunna Gay. Oh, Barbara has a question.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. Yes, we have been in touch with Patty at the library. We do have recording equipment available, type of thing. And in the past, as we know, a lot of books and things have been written about us. So here is an opportunity to keep up what has been told already, and we're just adding to it. But this is our story.
Is this something that you would like? Like, would it be a good idea to have a table at General Council to collect the cards that you're requesting? Okay.
We can do that. And I'll just throw in this little piece of information. With our elders committee, we do have people coming from Catoosa and Missouri and all over. We don't charge. We're pleased to serve. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Dropping down into new business, we have Ms. Carissa Millard, our tribal court clerk. Here to talk to us today about oil.
Yes, Oklahoma Indian Legal Services. So I kind of want to talk to everybody today. We have a clinic that's coming up that we want to promote. It's a wills clinic / expungement clinic. The wills part, they're both going to be held July 1st at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. by appointment only. Residents of Oklahoma, a member of a federally recognized tribe, there are some income requirements for this particular clinic. If you are a resident outside of Oklahoma, but you have any trust or restricted land, Oils can complete a will for you on that. I know there's been talk before about if individuals live outside of Oklahoma, how can that be done? So for this particular one, if you're a resident outside, they can still help with the trust and restricted land as well. The expungement clinic is also going to be held July 1st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. by appointment only. There are some income requirements which are set by Oils. A resident of Oklahoma, this is going to be for state cases. So if you have a case that could be expunged through any of the 77 counties in Oklahoma, they can look at it and they can see what needs to be done to get it expunged and taken off your record. A lot of times people assume if you have a deferment, which is you go in, you plead guilty to a case, but it's set on a deferred sentence, the DA's office will automatically expunge it. That is not the case. You have to make sure all your fines and costs are taken care of. Everything through the DA's office, your $40 fee per month is taken care of. Once that's done, you have to go to the DA's office and say, I've completed everything in the court clerk's office and your office. I want it expunged. So Oils will look at your cases to make sure that that can be done and try to get these off your record. Also, they will be answering any McGirt-related questions that tribal members have. McGirt is kind of pretty popular right now in the court system. So if you think that you possibly have a case that might be McGirt-related, they'd be willing to answer those. And those, of course, are going to be by appointment. To get an appointment set up, the number is 405-943-6457, extension 118, which is available on the flyer that has been posted on the Quapaw Nation tribal website and also through the nation's Facebook page as well. So the information is out there. If you have any questions, you can call me and I can get you the number of who you need to contact and call to get this taken care of.
Are you posting that physically on properties as well?
Yes, we've sent it out to all tribe emails to have them post to the locations. Wills are just, they're not fun to talk about, but we want to make sure we can get as many of these taken care of because this is a free clinic. So there's no charge for it. You just kind of call them and say, this is what I want to get done. I want to get a will. And they'll take everything over the phone and then they'll come up and meet you on that July 1st day and finalize everything to make sure everything is correct in your will. We're trying this around powwow time to see, with everybody coming in, how many numbers we can get. So maybe next year we can have it multiple days during that time so we can get as many completed as possible. If we're also looking to try to get an agreement with Oils that I know they have income restrictions that they have to use. We do have some funds set aside that if someone needs a will, us getting an agreement with Oils, so we can just have them contact Oils and then that contract would be then sent to us to pay for. So, but both of the flyers are actually up there by the agenda if anybody wants to pick one up.
And it will be at the tribal court?
So yeah, we do have court that day, but we're going to have a room kind of set aside for Oils to be in. If you do come, they are going to request that you do wear a face mask and stuff because they still require that. But yeah, it's going to be held at the Kyoto Center. And also...
Leave your weapons at home.
Yes. Guy had me look into UCO. They actually have an American Indian Wills Clinic, which the flyer is also available over there. They do it through the school year. I know we think Oklahoma City is away, so if there's anybody that's in the Tulsa area or Oklahoma City area that wants to use them, anyone that's Native American who's a resident of the state of Oklahoma, preference is given to those who own land. This is also a free clinic. You just call the college, they'll put your name on a list, and as they go through their classes, the students will be the ones that actually prepare the wills, but then a licensed attorney will go through the will and go through it with you to make sure everything is correct before anything is signed. So there's a couple options that we have available to get wills completed.
Raise your hand if you have a will. That's good. I strongly encourage and recommend everyone have one. There's nothing worse than having to deal with the loss of a loved one and then come to find out there's not a will in place, and then you're having to mess with all of their estate. You may even face going into probate. All of that can be resolved. The majority of it can be resolved through a will. So, I mean, you know, there are a lot of citizens with tribal land, trust land. Their estates are, you know, it's something to protect that. And it's really a blueprint and a guide for relatives once they pass. And it's extremely beneficial. So I'm glad that we're providing that service to our citizens. I am excited that it's going to be around General Council date. Hopefully we can get some good participation from that, and appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you. And I will say this, we don't keep the wills in the court clerk's office. So that's something that once they give you the original, you have the original, you can keep it. We like to tell people to put those in a safety deposit box, make sure that someone knows where they're at, because we've definitely ran across issues where we've been looking for wills and we can't find them and we don't know where they were placed. So definitely making sure that you have a safe, you know, a safety deposit box, or, I mean, sometimes they'll be left with attorneys if there's other things going on, and just letting loved ones know exactly where theirs are at. So,
while we have Barbara.
and a lot of times, you know, the judge will say at the end of a year, this will be expunged. But they don't go into you have to be the one that does it. You know, just because the DA's office gets the paperwork that shows that you're completed doesn't necessarily mean it's automatically taken off your record. Also, a lot of times, it still may remain on your arrest record. So you need to kind of look at those things as well, because just because it's no longer on the court side doesn't mean that there's not something that could pull up later. So this is a clinic we've wanted to definitely do, because sometimes you just kind of assume that it gets done on the state side. They also said if there was any tribal cases that you had, they would look at to see, you know, if expungements were a possibility on those as well. But definitely the state stuff is the important stuff to get off the record.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's a question on Zoom whether Oils provides trusts clinics.
So I don't know about trust. I know they will do power of attorneys. They will do transferred on death deeds and wills, because we have done those two other things as well during a previous wills clinic.
What about the OCU school?
UCO?
Yeah, UCO, sorry.
They just refer to it as free estate planning services.
It could be trusts, maybe. We'll have to look into that more. And that's only available during the school year?
So yeah, it'll run from August through, because that's when they have individuals in session, because usually typically the students have to do so much free legal assistance, and this is one of the classes that's provided. But then, like I said, the attorneys will actually go through and make sure all the paperwork is correct, because it's part of their class. So anyone down in that area, I know that's kind of like a little bit of a lengthy drive for us here, but you know, anyone in the Oklahoma City area or Tulsa area that might want to do it, it's definitely available.
We can have those conversations too with their attorneys once they're here July 1. We can ask about and see about what we can do to address the trusts. So, all right, thank you. If there are no other questions, while we have you at the podium, can you talk to us about this next resolution we have?
Yes, so it is it's actually the, I believe he referred to it as the Violence Protective Order Act. Right now, our protective orders aren't really covered in a whole under the previous criminal law and order codes. Only certain individuals could get a protective order. This kind of opens and broadens it. If you're being stalked, harassed, threats, where before you kind of had to be an intimate partner with someone, this kind of changes it. Also, before, we did not have a violation of protective order in place. So if someone happened to violate this court order, there wasn't anything that we had in our courts that would allow for it. So a lot of times we would have to take our protective order to the state court for the state courts to charge a criminal act. Protective order is a civil case, but it does have the repercussions of a possibility if you violate it where criminal charges can be filed. So this kind of just protects individuals who do have a protective order if something happens and someone is violating it, us being able to charge criminally.
All right. Yeah, I just to reiterate what you just said, I think it expands the tribal nation's ability to better protect our citizens.
Yes.
By filling in some of the gaps that have been left open for quite some time now. It continues to enhance the protection of our community members. So I think it's a really great act. And I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 061921-A.
Motion to approve.
I would second.
Motion by Callie, second by Lloyd. Any discussion? Thank you, Carissa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries and the resolution is approved. Dropping down resolution 061921B. This authorizes a construction agreement and limited waiver of immunity for the admin parking lot. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Michelle, a second. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries and the resolution is approved. Next is 061921C. This is a resolution approving a limited waiver of immunity for a bond assurance, and this kind of goes in conjunction with the previous resolution that we just passed. The resolution 061921B was the agreement. 061921C is the bond surety, and we're granting a limited waiver of immunity so we can carry out the construction for this project. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
I move to adopt.
Okay. We have a motion by Lloyd, a second.
I'll second.
A second by Callie. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Next up, we have donations. Tanner Kusat, tribal member. Do we have him present on Zoom? Okay, we'll go ahead and go forward. This is a request from Tanner Kusat, who is a member of the prior high school fishing team. Tanner and his fishing partner, another Quapaw tribal member, are needing funding to participate in the high school world and national fishing tournament in South Carolina. The tournament is June 30th through July 4th, and pre-fishing days are June 27, 28, and 29. They fish competitively for college scholarships. This money will help pay for lodging and fuel for travel and boat fuel during the tournament. And so, oh, this is cool. The Pryor High School fishing team will have printed jerseys with the Quapaw logo on the back. So this is almost like advertising at this point. I think that's a really awesome thing. So, and because it's, do we have to address each one individually, or can we take them up at in the same motion? Okay. Since there is a duplicate request for 500 from the tribal member who is the other half of the fishing team, the exact same request has been presented to us. And so I guess the motion would be for either 500 separately, or we could do a $1,000 donation to the team. But I would like to denote that the team is 100% Quapaw. So either way.
I will make a motion to donate 500 to each tribal member, Tanner Kusat and Tate Baumert, for the High School World National Fishing Tournament.
Okay. We have a motion to approve by Callie.
Second.
We have a second by Lloyd. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries and the donations are approved. The Business Committee wishes the team good luck in the finals and the tournament. Yes.
Do your previous commitment to have a report on the individuals from that received donations. I would like for that to be added in when the checks are issued.
Okay. Yes, definitely. We can put that in the correspondence that we send to them, just proof of their actual participation, and then hopefully they win, and we can blast it on our social media and put it all in our newspaper and our newsletter. So, thank you, Lloyd. Okay, dropping down into open forum. At this time, I'd like to recognize our relatives that have passed in the previous month. Call on their names. And I would like to recognize Alicia Thomas and Maggie Buffalo Van Horn. Any other members of our tribe that would like to recognize at this time, please feel free to say their names. Okay. These two individuals were both very near and dear to a lot of us. They're longtime community members, tribal members, and it's definitely going to be a different feeling not having them present at General Council and the powwow this year. So our condolences to their families, a lot of our relatives here. So just want to pay respect to them, and at this time I'll ask for a moment of silence, please. Renegade. Okay, open forum. Good morning.
This is just pretty short, sweet, simple. I just want to follow up on a request to extend the opening of the grounds to 2 weeks prior to powwow versus 1 week. It's difficult to get them cleaned up and prepared, set up and ready, and it's not necessarily the fact of wanting to camp that additional week, and I mean, some might want to do that, but it's just the fact that I would like to see an extension of time to get the campsites prepared, especially since we've not had, the full powwow since 2019, and that's where I stand. I would just like to see that extension to 2 weeks prior for opening.
People are itching to camp. Yeah, I can understand that. I've been contacted several different times about this issue. The fact that we didn't necessarily have a full-blown powwow last year. It has been 2 years since we've been able to gather like this on the grounds. I guess the only consideration that we have, or I have personally, is one, the added cost of what that will be. I don't know. And two, what does that do, or how does that impact powwow committee? With Mike, I don't think it would be a problem. Again, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of Donna and Mike, but I don't have a problem with it. I think that would be a nice thing.
Is that something that could be answered today?
When is that 2-week window? I don't even know.
It would have started June 17th, 2 days ago.
Okay, so we're already behind. The fact that we mandated it through general counsel is something to consider as well. That's kind of a vote of the people that did that.
Would it be possible to at least leave them open, the gates open this weekend? I mean, it's not necessarily asking specifically for bathrooms and showers and that. It's just an additional hours to get campsites prepared. I will straight up tell you that my family, we are responsible for cleaning just more than our own campsite because we have elders that are family members, and outside of being family members that we clean those sites as well. And so it's especially going to be a challenge this year because of the lack of being prepared since 2019.
Now, I do agree with that. I do agree with that reasoning because our camps my family camp looks a little shabby this year, having been, it's been 2 years, like you said, and we didn't do the full one last year. It was just a day. So, again, I would be okay with that. We're going to have to look at having increased security there on our marshals. So I don't know what that does to their shifts or how that will impact their ability to.
Tomorrow at a minimum. I mean, I realize it is a Father's Day weekend, but I'm just stressing that we need some additional time to try to get a few more hours in. I have granddaughters that are still playing softball. I know other families have children that are involved in summer activities, camps, baseball, softball, different things. And so, that midnight oil of getting regalia ready. So, I'm just asking, not only for us, but I know on behalf of other individuals as well.
I would be okay with it.
Hey, Joseph, it's Michael. I'm back here.
There we go.
Yeah, powwow committee has no problem with opening the gates early. Would give people time to work on their camps because the grounds crew does a lot of work around the camps, but sometimes, you know, in that period, such a big campground, it's going to grow back up. So in order to keep the snakes away, bugs, you know, I would give people more time to work on their camps.
Okay.
And as well as facilities to use, yeah, we would like to have some of the bathrooms open for these people, because nobody wants to walk through, you know, raw waste. You know, men like to use trees, so.
I'm a bushman personally. But yeah, based off of everything I'm hearing, I think it is a need. Of course, we could approve it today, and half the folks really love us, and the other half really hate us. But comes with the job.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. Do we want to put it to a vote, or can we just say yes? Just for this weekend.
Going around the clock just so I'll notify the marshals so they can make some pass-throughs and stuff like that.
Could we close it at 9? Or are you saying camping too?
I'm not
Like-
necessarily saying camping that additional week. I'm just that additional week for cleaning. I mean, I recognize that it's open for camping 1 week prior and 1 week after. And I think most of everyone that I've talked to, they're okay with that. It's just that additional week for cleaning,
Okay.
especially in the evening times, because there's many of us that still work full-time jobs. And so it's difficult, once again, the full-time job during the day and then the extracurricular activities in the weekend with either kids or grandchildren during the week, and then just you're basically back to limited to the weekends.
Okay. So I definitely want to want to make it easier on our folks. So let's get together with Donna after the meeting, and then we can iron out the details and then put notification out to everyone. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I would entertain that additional week, even if you had to close them at 9 o'clock at night, you know, during the summertime, the hours are longer, the days are longer, and that sort. So just whatever we can do to try to accommodate the majority.
Okay.
So thank you for your consideration.
My next question is, are the facilities available? Are they ready to be used?
The 24th, June 24th. And also, just on a side note, I just once again want to thank you guys for the Employee Appreciation Day. So, thank you.
We had a good time.
Yeah.
It was a little warm, but we made it. No, I'm glad we could get together. I think it went off really well, and the food was delicious too. I think we had a good time.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you all.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions, concerns?
I don't have any questions or concerns, but I have a thank you. It was a big surprise for me at the appreciation picnic the other day for you to honor me like you did and I want to thank you for that. All of those that had a part in that. I tried to figure out how many years it was altogether, probably about 32 to what I can figure. Believe it or not, I got mad a couple of times and quit, and then came back later. So, but I just want you to know that I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I was very honored. Thank you.
The honor was all ours. I'm glad to have you there. Congratulations on your work anniversary. Joita, you as well. Congratulations. And thank you both for your dedication and service to Quapaw. Appreciate you.
Okay, it's me again. Just a little update on the powwow. Let's see, rations will be handed out on the 2nd of July at 9 a.m. here in the community building. So everybody, get ready for that. Get ready to sweat. Bring you some muscle. We will have some guys here to be able to carry a few bags, but transportation-wise, you know, that's going to be a problem because some of these bags get really heavy. Like I said, we start on the 1st, so with that Quapaw night. So anybody needs specials, bringing people in the arena, stuff like that, memorial songs, whatever. That's the night to do it for the Quapaws. And plus, we'll have the Quapaw men and women and teen and children's Quapaw dress and straight dance contest that night. Intertribal portion will start Friday. We'll run through Sunday. Grand entry at 8 p.m. Gourd dancing 6 to 8 every night. So stomp dance afterwards, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And that is about it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if they'll show up early, we'll get you through.
Are you talking about for the ration disbursement? Okay. You heard him. Early bird gets the worm.
I'm willing to do it. I don't know about other people.
Yeah, we set that for 9. I'm sure if the elders were to show up earlier than that, I'm sure somebody's going to be around in the vicinity that can help. Okay, good question. Anybody else have any questions? Open forum.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited for the powwow. Fireworks on July 2nd. That's going to be good. So we got a free fireworks show on July 2nd at the powwow grounds, and then July 3rd at Downstream Casino. So no shortage of fireworks. And then July 4th, we'll probably have fireworks at General Council. That's how we roll. Okay, well, this concludes the portion of open forum. Next, we'll go into closed session with Mr. Tim Kent. So, okay, so we're going to leave for closed session at 11:05, and then we'll commence after that.